feared and feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, and so jiggle my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son still had me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of PTBNL Podcast, the podcast to be named later because we truly will eventually have an actual podcast name. We have a full house tonight. We mentioned last night, Rob and I were on a show for PTBNL that we were going to try to bring more content throughout the week since there is not a damn thing going on in anyone's lives. So we're going to give you some shit to do in your week. But we do have a full house, so I'm going to get to introducing everyone real quick. I am the host tonight, Shane. I mentioned I am joined by Rob, who was on the show last night. I have both Joes, which one we will now affectionately call as Biscuits. You guys all heard the story. For those of you who didn't, go back and listen to that episode. It's a gem. And then we also have Joe Borek, and then we have our West Coast guy, Scott. So, Rob, first of all, how are you?
I am doing just fine. Still alive, still not infected with this virus. So, I mean, it would be better, obviously, if there's sports around. But all things considered, I'm doing all right.
That's good. That's good. Honestly, I picture all of us right now as the bubble boy from Seinfeld. We are all in a bubble. We're all angry. We don't have any additional reason why we're angry outside of the fact that there's no sports. And we're all just waiting for Kramer to come and George to come. And that's about it. But let's go over to the Joes over here. Biscuits, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking, Shane. There's air in my lungs. The sun came out this morning. And, I was pretty upset with the news about baseball, but I think it is for the best. And I've been pretty okay with it. I've been getting better, going along better than I thought I would. So I'm okay.
Well, that's good. So you're in one of the first stages of grief and denial. That's good for you. Biscuits has actually violated some Shane rules. So for those of you who don't know a whole hell of a lot about me outside of sports, I loathe millennial speak. So when people say bet or my B and shit like that and use that kind of millennial slang, it makes me want to punch them in the throat. And since I'm not going to punch my co-hosts in the throat because I need them to continue to speak, they're going to have to offer up an embarrassing story for each time we find these violations to be present, either in our texts, which they were today from Biscuits, and again in pre-recording on Skype Talk here. So he is a victim who is going to have to supply us with one of those stories, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Another one who has violated that is the other Joe Borek. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing good. Right now, I'm better than, as you know, my counterpart who comes on here sometimes, Andrew, because he really only watches sports and nothing else. At least I watch some TV shows, so I have a little bit going for me beyond that. But I think eventually, pretty quickly, I'm going to get to my capita and then get to TV shows I don't give a rat's ass about. So it's going to be interesting once I get past, next week, I think.
Well, welcome to the end of days, buddy. We're all here. This is not the most swell time. And then we have our West Coast guy, Scott, who wants the entire Sixers roster to get the coronavirus because you're an ass. But it did make me laugh. Scott, how are you?
I'm doing all right. To clarify what Shane's talking about here, I didn't just wish ill will on the Sixers because they were playing so bad. I don't want it to be interpreted that way.
No, you wished it in the whole league, didn't you?
Yeah, pretty much. I wanted all of them to go down. Yeah. If I can't see them play sports, they're clearly of no use to me, right? So I'm just gonna write them off. I was kind of meaning the way that viruses work. Everyone's just gonna get it at some point. So if one of them already has it, I hope that they're all under the best medical care and can rest up and enjoy the 30 days off and heal up from this virus, eat some good chicken soup. Do something there. Did want to say too that I'm finally going through withdrawal of sports because I watched the UFC event that was on earlier today. I'm a big UFC guy, so now it's really come to terms with me too. I'm kind of sitting here scratching my neck, being like, where's my next sports fix? I've had friends and family check in on me, not to make sure I don't have the virus, but to make sure I'm doing okay for not having any sports on TV. So things are good right now, but we'll see.
It is the end of days. It is. We're all gonna hit. It's all gonna hit us at different times and in various different ways. It is funny that Scott's friends and family are reaching out to him. Mine have done the same to me. I'm sure the rest of you guys are probably pretty similar with some of your closest people in your lives checking in, because this is truly at the end of the day. This is 90% of our talk topics, and everything else that we talk about is shit that we shouldn't talk about. So it's different. This is a truly bizarre time. And to get like semi-serious for a quick minute, we're seeing different NBA players, why the hell owners or governors. I'm sorry, Scott, governors. We don't want to offend people. Fucking NBA. But they have not been offering, or at least it's not been reported that they are offering, to pay the salaries of those who are going to be out of work as a result of these arenas being shut down. NBA players we are seeing do that. And it does make you stop and think for a quick minute. There are, many, individuals or companies that are going to be without income now, and their life is going to change over the next 30 days and beyond. We don't know how long this is going to be. So I do want to quickly bring to attention our intro-outro music is a band known as the Jackdaws. They are an Irish rock band. Or Irish folk rock band, to be a little more specific. They tour the country and they play various venues. They play with the Renaissance fairs. They play other small like concert venues, and the entirety of their income comes from being able to perform for people at these venues. And then again, through sales, through CDs, through online sales, through their Patreon, their merchandise sales and things like that. But this is truly how they support themselves. And their next 2 months of shows have now been preemptively canceled. So we want to try to do our part for the band that brings us in and takes us out, the Jackdaws. So if you guys have a couple extra bucks that you could kind of send their way, it would make a world of difference to them, to their families. Again, this is the entirety of their income. You can find them on Instagram. It is the Jackdaws. Their Patreon is www.patreon.com/thejackdaws. And then you can also search the Jackdaws on iTunes, Apple Music, whatever you use. I will tell you some of their albums that are currently on, so you guys know what you're looking for. One is called On the Lash, and the other one is called Troubles. They also have an EP that came out fairly recently called Colors. But they're awesome humans. Their music's great. Their podcast is also great. And then most of the t-shirts and things like that they sell, they're super cool looking. We have several, Stephanie and I. So if you guys could help them out, that would mean a lot to them. You guys, thanks for indulging for a quick minute as I gave that kind of lengthier ad. I know some of you guys have bought some of their music, so I appreciate that as well.
And Shane, just to help you out real quick, they're also on Spotify. Oh
yeah. They're on Spotify. They're on SoundCloud, I believe. Still, they may have pulled off on that. But their website's also www.thejackdaws.com. You can actually read a little bit more about them as well on there. So, like I said, awesome people. We enjoy their music. We wouldn't have it as our intro outro if we did. But let's jump into some baseball stuff first, and then we're going to give you guys a bunch of different things and the ways that we are going to spend our time. We're going to get to the embarrassing stories of each Biscuit and Borek. So Biscuit and Borek is what we're going to call them now, the two Joes. So we got a lot for you tonight. So let's start with Rob had brought us. I actually want to start with the stadium one because this is a conversation I absolutely love. And since we have 5 of us, I know that we're going to cover a ton of stadiums. So Rob had kind of brought to us favorite stadiums that we have been to, and then some stadiums that we definitely want to go to. So I'm going to actually let Rob kick this one off. Rob, why don't you start off with your favorite stadium that you have been to, whether it's still open or no longer open to the public? Go ahead.
Okay, well, I've been to a bunch of stadiums. I've been to pretty much every stadium in the Northeast. I've been to both stadiums out in Chicago. I've also been to Pittsburgh. I've been to Cleveland. I've been to Baltimore, D.C. So I've been to some historic stadiums. I've been to Wrigley. I've been to Fenway. I went to Old Yankee Stadium. But my favorite stadium that I've ever been to, and I only went there once, it was 2 summers ago, PNC out in Pittsburgh. Absolutely the most gorgeous ballpark, and I just love the whole entire style of the ballpark. How you have that short porch in right field with the Roberto Clemente Bridge out in center in the backdrop, and then deeper to left field, and just the whole architecture of the ballpark is really beautiful. It's an absolutely great place to catch a baseball game. If you're a Phillies fan, or if you're a fan of any other baseball team, and you're looking to make a road trip to go see your team, I definitely recommend going out to Pittsburgh and catching a game at PNC. That is, and Citizens Bank is a great place to watch a game. Baltimore is a great place. Progressive Field out in Cleveland is a great place, but PNC, in my humble opinion, takes the cake for number 1.
I love PNC Park. That is truly one of my favorite sports venues just in general. So that's a quality poll there. I'm going to go to Scott next because Scott is actually based out of the West Coast now. So he's probably had an opportunity to go to some of these stadiums that we have not yet had an opportunity to go to. Scott, what's your favorite stadium that you've been to?
So I've been to all of the Southern California ones out here. I've been to the Angel Stadium, Dodger Stadium, down to San Diego. I've walked by and looked in and seen the Giants Stadium. I haven't actually been to a game there. Haven't been to an A's game yet, or Athletics game yet. So I'll get to those eventually. But without a doubt, hands down, my favorite ballpark that I've been to out here is definitely, I believe it's called Petco Park, or the
beautiful ballpark out there. That's on my
Padres
list.
Stadium. Oh my God, you got to get out there, man. You have to. San Diego is a gorgeous city. It has the beachy feel as well as the city feel. But the coolest part about it is it's right downtown. So you can go downtown and walk around all day, hop on a Lime scooter or whatever the fuck they are, and scoot on over to it, and just drop that thing at the gates and just walk right in. It'll cost you $4 because no one goes to games there somehow. So you can stroll in and just sit on there's a hill out in the outfield, or grab some cheap tickets and hang out there, enjoy a little bit of the game and the beautiful weather, and watch just a very boring baseball game because no one seems to score there. But yeah, me and my buddies try to get down there a couple times a year. It's a nice train ride. It's a nice day trip. Definitely my favorite out here, hands down, no competition.
What a sell. You just scoot on over there for $4 and watch a shitty baseball game.
Cost you more in the scooter ride than it will to actually.
Oh man, hey, that's
awesome.
That's right down my alley, actually. I like watching baseball more at pitchers' parks because I feel like teams have a more strategic or tactical approach to it as opposed to just trying to match the long balls on all night long.
Aren't you the same asshole that wants the DH in the NL?
No, I want pitchers to hit in the AL.
Oh, so you're a good human. My bad.
Yeah.
I withdraw that. My apologies, sir. Did not mean to attack you that way.
Oh, man.
All right, so we have Petco from Scott, where if you wanted to scoot around for $4 and watch a shitty game, that's a hell of a sell. And then we have Pittsburgh, where the architecture is beautiful. Who in the hell is accepting calls on our show? Which one of you?
Wasn't me. I got an iPhone. That don't sound like an iPhone ring.
I feel like it's Borek.
Oh, patch him through, whoever it is. Tell him to hop on.
I was just going to make the comment, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah.
Whoever it is, that requires an embarrassing story from you.
Well, no one's owning up to it right now. So this is a little upsetting. All right, so let's go to Biscuits, because I'm curious as to what would be his favorite stadium, because I don't know a whole hell of a lot about you yet. So go ahead, Biscuits. Joey B, what do you got?
Oh, goodness. Well, to be frankly honest with you, I've never been to a stadium except for Citizens Bank.
Jesus Christ, man.
I went to Camden Yards once when I was a baby. I was down to Spectrum Field to see the Phillies play during spring training. But other than that, the only stadium I've been to was the one I grew up about 10 to 15 minutes away from, the home away from home. I don't need to sit here and sell Citizens Bank Park to you. Truly, growing up as a Phillies fan, you have so many great memories there. Obviously, I went to the Vet too when I was younger, but don't really remember much about that. So Citizens Bank Park, yeah, it's my only one.
All right, so
Christ,
we're
man.
gonna mandate. We're gonna mandate that you join us on a trip to either, I guess, like DC or up to Citi Field for Phillies game.
Oh yeah, I'd be about it.
Okay, well, both of those stadiums blow, but we'll take you somewhere.
I actually
Don't
go
go
to
to
Citi
Citi
Field.
Field.
I would go to DC because I've never been to DC though.
I heard the DC
DC
where the
shit.
Nationals.
Yeah, I
play
would go to
sucks.
DC 100% because I've never been to the Nationals Park. I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, I went once. I wasn't a huge fan of it.
It's not,
I've
not
been
small,
there. It's nothing to write home about
right?
at all.
I heard City sucked though.
I went to
Cities.
City once, and I actually was kind of pleasantly surprised with it.
Really?
At least, yeah, I thought it was a pretty nice ballpark. But
It's a bitch to get there too. That's one of the issues with Citi Field for me. Anytime I was in New York, I used to, back when I lived on the East Coast, I would go up to New York to visit friends all the time. And anytime we tried to go up to Citi Field, it's like a further cab ride. You have to, or not cab ride, a train ride over, and it's just kind of a bitch to get there at that time of day. So that always
Shitty.
plays it down in my mind.
And it's the fucking Mets. You don't need that in your life.
I was gonna say, doesn't everything about the Mets suck?
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely.
That's okay.
my entire team sucks. That's what it stands for.
How have I never heard that before? That's amazing.
I know. Biscuits is over there. He can't contain himself.
That's great. That's great. Send tweet.
Oh my god. Biscuits on that's every show you're on at this point. You play a late catch up on stuff. That's brilliant. Lettuce last time.
I'm sitting there saying it to myself. I'm like my entire team. I'm like, that's great.
That's brilliant.
Oh man.
All right, Borek. I have a feeling you're a guy who goes to a lot of games. Please tell me you're a guy who goes to parks beyond just Citizens Bank Park. What is your favorite park that you've been to?
Mine historically would probably be Fenway, but overall would probably be Camden Yards because I'm like a history buff, and I know Camden Yards is kind of what they modeled a lot of the newer stadiums around. And I see why they did it because it's a beautiful stadium. It has the open air, and when a home run hits that warehouse out in right field, that's a sight to see. So it's a very nice stadium to be at, and also it has very freaking good food at that goddamn stadium. So if you want to go to a stadium that has cheap, good food and cheap as hell tickets, because just like Scott said about Padres game, no one in their right mind goes to Baltimore Orioles game. So if you want to get cheap tickets for a great ballpark, that's the place. That's one of the places to be on the East Coast, where the Padres Stadium is probably the place to be on the West Coast.
That's fair. Ballpark food does go into a lot of my decision making. So like, there's very few articles that I'll read that come out like every single year, and the ballpark new food editions is one that I 100% read. I'm like, this is, and like, if you look at me, you understand this. Like, I'm a little chubby guy. Like, this ain't right. But I base a lot of my travels and my decisions on venue on food selection. It's a problem, which is amazing because every time I go to Citizens Bank Park, I refuse to get food. Anywhere in Philadelphia, I refuse to get food sports wise. Restaurant scene is another thing. Restaurants in Philly are great. But I'm going to go with either Yankee Stadium or Fenway for me. And
The
it's
old
both,
one or the new one?
You mean the old one, right? Yeah.
old one. And it's just one of those things where when you walk in, and if you're as big of a baseball guy as I am, like, you just instantly feel the history that was, between those walls and on that field. And it's just it's a different atmosphere. Like, I don't particularly enjoy either team or franchise for almost anything. But when you walk in there, when you think of, iconic matchups and iconic players to the game of baseball, those franchises have so much to do with that, and you feel that when you walk in. So I think that plays a lot into it. I've also had the opportunity to see some really good pitching matchups at each place that also made the experience pretty awesome. Getting to see Pedro pitch at home, it was pretty awesome. Getting to see Halladay pitch in Yankee Stadium is pretty awesome. Well, I guess that was the new Yankee Stadium when I saw him. But still, it's just those two are absolutely phenomenal. So we've covered a lot of ballparks that we've been to. Let's go around real quick and let's try to figure out some of the ones that we definitely want to go to and why. So I'll start out west with Scott. Scott, where's a park that you do want to go to that you have yet to be?
Well, I'm embarrassed to admit I have never been to Fenway Park. I've always been a Phillies first team, but when it was rough when we were growing up and the Phils absolutely sucked, I adopted the Red Sox as my second team, who also sucks for a long time. So I don't know why I made that choice. But
Rico Brogna was your favorite player.
I love Rico Brogna. Shout out Rico.
Right.
Nomar.
I did like Nomar. I like Pedro a lot. Like they became, just kind of like a second team. So at least I would be able to root for the AL a little bit as well as the NL. And when the Phils were out, I would just change my hat over to the Red Sox one and try to go to the Red Sox Phils game every year in Citizens Bank Park. But I've never been to Fenway yet, and I need to go up there. And Boston's an awesome city, so it's on my list. Maybe with flights being so cheap now, and when they start playing games,
they suck.
Yeah, they're not going to be good this year. But I want to try to get in there and like you said, feel the history of it all. I think it's very important in baseball to remember the history and remember all that stuff. So it'd be a cool little trip, and I've got it on my list.
Also for Fenway, if you want to get on the Monster for BP, it's $15 for a Red Sox pass all year, and that gets you on the Monster because the Monster seats are so expensive for no reason. It's not a great vantage point.
Yeah,
yeah. Pro tip from Joe.
Yeah.
There you go. Well done. All right, Rob. So you've been to a lot of stadiums. I feel like, Rob, you've probably been to the most out of all of us. What's a stadium that you'd be looking forward to going to?
Well, in general, in the whole major leagues, I would love to go to the one that Scott mentioned at Petco Park out in San Diego. For all the reasons that Scott mentioned, basically, it's kind of an old style ballpark. I love how they have that Western Metal Supply Company building out there in left field with the, I guess, whatever party deck or whatever it is kind of attached to that. I love the whole setting. I love, having the city in the background, and it just looks like a really, really nice place to go out there and enjoy a baseball game. Aside from that, and I know I mentioned the group text, making a trip down to Miami to see a Phillies game down there. I've heard mixed reviews about the ballpark down there, but I'm just kind of really intrigued to see what it's like in person. I mean, like I said, mixed reviews, but it is one of the newer parks in all of baseball, and I don't know, it kind of seems like a pretty unique stadium down there. So I would like to go down and see a game in Miami. But San Diego would be my number one choice.
You come out here, I'll pay for your lime ride. We'll scoot on into the stadium together.
Sounds good.
Oh, what a $4 investment. I love it. All right, Biscuits. So you've been to one place in your life. God, you sheltered human, you. Where of all the beautiful parks that we have mentioned, or maybe one that we have not, would you like to go to?
So, obviously, you got Fenway, Wrigley, PNC is the one that I would like to go to, but I think the one that I would really if I had to wake up tomorrow and pick a ballpark to go to, it would be the Rogers Center in Toronto, actually.
Ooh.
I just, from an outside perspective, looking at the stadium and how it's designed, I think it's aesthetically pleasing, if that makes sense.
It doesn't actually, because I've seen it. It's ridiculous, but keep going.
Really? Oh, I love it. I like the kind of unique architecture with it. And I also like the fact that there's the hotel, and my buddy actually stayed at the hotel one year, and he would literally just the hotel's right in center field. It's hundreds of feet up in the outfield, or not, it's a deep center field, and he could actually watch games. And that was pretty cool to see. So that's one I'd want to go to.
Interesting. I was going to pull out the Rays stadium just because they're not going to be there forever because they're going to go up to Canada next. And I also just want to see what it's like to be in a ballpark that you can just hear yourself talk all the time, no matter how fucking good the team is. But you've already taken a shitty stadium from me, Biscuits, so I'm going to leave that one go. Borek, what stadium do you want to travel to, my friend?
I'm sorry, before we go on, did you know that the Rays stadium used to be the home arena for the Tampa Bay Lightning? It literally used to be a hockey arena.
It doesn't shock me, like, in the least.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, sorry, Borek.
No, you're good. I was going to say one that I didn't do yet in near proximity to me would be Wrigley in Chicago, but one that's out near you, Scott, would be Anaheim, the Angel Stadium, just because of the cool fountain. I think that kind of looks cool to see in person, that stadium, and also you're seeing the best player of our generation play in person in his home stadium. So I think that would be a cool stadium to check out sometime soon.
It's
Pro
quality.
tip, if you're, I'm going to return the favor here. If you're going to come out to an Angels game, buy the cheapest ticket you can and then wait until the 5th inning when people don't show up. You
And
can go
upgrade.
down and sit right behind home plate if you want.
Oh, word. Okay, cool.
So basically, like it used to be at Phillies games before they signed Harper.
Exactly.
That's not true. Jesus.
Yeah, it
It's
is,
not,
dude.
It was not that bad.
I mean, look,
It wasn't
there were
late,
numerous occasions where I bought tickets to sit in the top row of the upper deck, and I literally, my friend and I would go down, and we would sit down the first row on the third base side and chat up the ball girl down there.
Of course
Yeah,
you
it wouldn't be behind home plate bad, but it would be like you could sit down the third or first base line bad before we got Harper.
I don't know. I never quite found it to be that empty when I was going, but that's good. Throwing pro tips around, I appreciate it.
The other thing I've noticed too is people on the West Coast seem to be friendlier about that stuff. I remember being at Yankee Stadium a couple times and there being no one sitting in their like illustrious club level seats on the first level. And I remember looking at the guy in like the 7th inning being like, "Hey, can I go down there?" And he's like, "Nope, you don't have a ticket." Out here, they literally don't care at all. They're like, "Oh, please, like, make it look like there are people here because it looks really bad on TV having no one down here."
Yeah, knowing me, I don't even give a shit about the Angels, and I'm that guy that's so into baseball. If Mike Trout hits a walk-off home run in the 15th inning, I'm like, yeah!
Borek's making Sports Center, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the guy that's on Sports Center top 10 with the top play of Mike Trout hitting the walk-off homer.
Quality. I can see you riding the fountain down. Why not? All right. So let's. I feel like it's about that time. So we're going to go to Biscuits' embarrassing story, so he can make good on saying some dumbass millennial shit to us via text and prior to jumping on the live recording here. So Biscuits, we're getting started on it now. So lay us your first embarrassing story or embarrassing moment in the life of Biscuit.
Ooh, so I'm actually going to pull one from my sophomore year of college.
Specific.
So
Keep going.
yeah, this is a good one. So one of the things that I did at Cabrini was I was an orientation leader. So what that essentially was that when new freshmen would move onto campus, I would kind of help facilitate the orientation process. I would lead group activities and stuff like that, help freshmen move in, all that jazz. And I met a freshman girl. And I was only a sophomore at the time, and we were friendly. I didn't really I wasn't into her or anything. And we were chatting it up, but there was an orientation leader with the same name who I'm a friendly guy. I would talk to her occasionally, but we weren't really friends. And one day, this girl who has the same name as these two girls starts texting me, and she's basically saying that she's into me and all this stuff. And I thought it was the freshman girl. And I'm saying this is odd. She's like, yeah, I've been into you for a long time. And basically what happened was it was the other girl who I kind of knew from being an orientation leader, but we weren't really friends. And I didn't really talk to her. So when she texted me and said her name and then it wasn't the other girl, I was freaking out because I'm like, who the hell is this girl? And I was drinking with my brother and one of my friends, and we were sitting in his car. And I'm just like, guys, what the fuck? I don't know this girl's name. I don't know who she is. And then she told me her name. I confessed that I really didn't know who she was at first.
You're an asshole. You couldn't have just taken her out to dinner or something?
Well, it was bad, dude. I had like I said, I had no idea. I basically said, like, I don't really know who's texting me right now. And she's like, it's fine. Like, I shouldn't have said anything to you. And I completely ghosted her from there. I was pretty embarrassed.
Oh, man.
You can't use things like ghosted. That's going to put you on a thin ice again, man. You're going to have to give us another fucking story.
I didn't
Come on, man.
respond
Ghosted
to
is
her.
an actual term.
I didn't respond to her
It's in the
beckoning call.
dictionary, to be fair.
To be fair. All right, man. So we found out that Biscuits is an asshole. He's not a nice guy.
Oh, no, I'm an American sweetheart. Ask my girlfriend and all my friends. They'll tell me, hey, I won the Christian Value Award in the 7th grade for being kind to others. So I'm just leaving that there.
Value Award?
I went to a Catholic school, man. They would give
put
out
that
awards
together.
for everything.
Thanks. I didn't think you went to a fucking Jewish school. Jesus Christ.
Hey, so I'm not the only one who went to a Catholic school here.
I
Hey,
did.
asshat. I went to
I
school
did 12
with
years
you.
of Catholic school.
That's right. You went to LC with me. That's right.
That's right.
I was talking about St. Jude, where your dad taught me music.
That is true. My father is a music teacher there.
Shout out to Uncle Mike.
Yeah, shout out to Mike. Also buy his music, because Lord knows I'm sure all musicians need it at this point. Same thing, just search Michael Mead. Good stuff will come up. All right, so the real reason everyone's coming on and listening to some of the pods that are going to come up for the next week is no one knows what the fuck to do with their time. No one has any idea what to do with themselves, and we are all finding out just how uninteresting of humans that we truly are when sports are not a top talking point. Twitter is a terrible existence typically. Take sports away, Twitter's fucking miserable. So we're going to help everyone out. We're going to kind of go around, and we'll do this several times throughout this pod, but we're going to give some of the things that we are actively looking to do throughout our weeks that you could possibly adopt and put into your weekly kind of repertoire at this point, now that sports are not happening and not existent. So I am going to start. We're going to start a different order this time. I'm going to go to Borek first, mainly because I'm fucking interested in what you do as a human. So Borek, why don't you shed some light into the life of Joe B at this point and what you're going to do over the next 30 days without sports?
Well, I've been asking that question to myself in my head for the past 48 hours repeatedly.
Get any answers?
It resulted in going out to my friend's house tonight to drink, and then I decided not to go out to the bar for the better of not going into a large crowd situation.
But you're 24 and healthy. You got nothing to worry about.
You know, you can still pass it on, like you guys said.
You're damn right. Selfish fuck. Both Joes are assholes.
But anyway, I've mostly been just trying to watch TV shows that I kind of like when I don't watch sports or TV shows I tend to watch. But I only have about 3 or 4 of those, and then beyond that, it's like, well, shit.
All right, well, lay the shows on us, man. You're not helping these people out.
I watch SWAT sometimes, which is on CBS because I have CBS All Access. But you have to watch that shit on Hulu, just to point out for people, until you get to season 3. And then I watch, obviously most people like this show. I think F is for Families on Netflix. That's a pretty funny show. I watch that on occasion. That is Come and Get Your Love as the opening song. Everybody loves that song.
Well, we're all wet.
So that is the opening.
Sign this man to a record deal.
You can also buy Borek's music on iTunes next. sweet songs.
Something else I watch is The Ranch on Netflix, but that was like my 5th or 6th show. But I just started watching that again because sports aren't going on. And then
you and Rob.
Yeah,
great show.
And then one of the ones I go to every now and again is Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I think a lot of people know that it's like a comedy cop show on NBC. I think NBC.
Fox.
That's on Fox now?
Fox. There we go.
Yeah.
Didn't it used to be on NBC, though?
I thought it was NBC.
I don't know. Maybe it used to be on Fox. Now it's on NBC.
Just confidently lie. Get you everywhere you want to go.
Either way, it's a good show. Whatever network the damn show's on, it's a good show. So.
Oh, there
he
you go.
knows it's a good show, but he doesn't know what network it's on.
I bet Joe could not explain what any of those shows are about. He doesn't seem too certain about any of them outside of the title and the theme song.
Man literally just flips through the channels, doesn't even pay attention to what channel it is. He's like, yeah, this is a good show.
Yeah,
Can I be honest?
Watch old school TV shows. Like I know what Leave It to Beaver is about a little bit.
Of course you do. I'll be honest, Joe Borek, I genuinely thought that you were about to say Baywatch reruns. I thought that you were just that guy sitting in a recliner with a case of beer next to you, just watching Baywatch.
Would it be a bad
Just the
idea
intro.
Not
Even the show, just the intro.
Yeah, once I run out of things to watch, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
I honestly, I agree. All right, so let's go to Biscuit now. You're a guy who I think me, you, and Scott are the only ones who genuinely read on this podcast. You can drop novels, you can drop short stories, movies, TV shows, whatever it is. How you filling your time this week outside of not calling back females, you asshat.
I've been catching a lot of the infomercials on the NBC Sports Channel on Comcast.
He's just rocking back and forth, crying to himself, shaking, can't handle life right now. He's like, just play a replay, just any replay.
Mostly movies. I'm a big movie guy. We were talking a little bit yesterday. I haven't done too much reading lately, but I've been getting a daily dose of movies in. We talked a little bit about Knives Out, the murder mystery starring Daniel Craig and Chris Evans. Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. That was a really good movie. I know you had some complaints, Shane.
I actually just had to watch that again tonight with Stephanie and some of her family had come over because they had not seen it. And I had said to you yesterday, Biscuits, that I had some complaints and that I didn't think it was quite as brilliant as everyone said. And after rewatching it, I was right. It's not a perfect movie. But you can keep going.
All right. I disagree. I loved it. I thought it was flawless. You want to know how I can say in confidence it was a good movie? Because a little tidbit into my relationship with my girlfriend. Her and I, hate the same type. Like, we do not get along with movies. Like, we bicker every time we pick a movie. She loves the rom-coms. I love, the movies that make you think. I love,
Oh, man, you date Stephanie too?
Anyway, when I put on Knives Out, she was, as I expected to be, she was very not happy with my decision. And about 10 minutes into the movie, she was just like, "What? Oh my gosh, like that happened, plot twist." And like she was just so engaged with it. And I was, happy that she enjoyed a movie that I picked for once in my entire life. Hopefully she doesn't hear me say that because I know this is going to open up a whole can of worms if she did. But yeah, primarily just movies. I've also been playing the show. You got the early release edition. I believe that was the MVP edition. It is dope.
You elite as fuck.
Yep. You know what? As soon as the NBA canceled, I knew the MLB was coming next, and I was just like, you know what? Click. I bought it, and it was worth every penny. I brought Alec Boehm up. He's a total stud. It's great. It's great. So movies and video games.
I thought he was only a 70 in the game.
Not when Biscuits use them.
Not when Biscuits use them. And I play on I don't play on like rookie or anything like that.
I play on All-Star.
I think I play whatever's after rookie. So I'm not on anything too crazy, but I don't play on the easiest setting.
Better.
Listen to that humble brag right there. I'm too good to play on rookie.
But I'm not good to play on anything else.
Jesus.
That would be veteran.
One thing you can learn from this particular point is the fact that if you are a partner with someone, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, give them a chance on their movie tastes. And then if you have the show, bring up Alec Boehm. Because a 70 overall doesn't mean anything, especially if you have biscuit power. Does not matter.
Still snaps.
Jesus Christ, man. You are really pushing it.
You're going to hate me, Shane?
Yeah, well, there's some conversational differences and some dialogue things that I'd like to have a conversation about. But I'm going to go to Scott next, since Rob and I kind of went through this one yesterday. Scott, what have you been doing? What are you planning on doing?
Well, I think I'm going to start watching Biscuits play the show. Can you just like FaceTime me in and I'll just watch it?
Live stream.
Me and Scott will gamble on that.
If you have a PS4, you can just Skype in or whatever the fuck it's called on PS.
Yeah, got to get you guys
game
up on
share,
Twitch,
game share.
Yeah, game share.
Yeah, that's it. And then me and Scott will bet.
Done.
Right
well,
on.
That's gonna take up like 4 hours of my time. But
Why, is
I've
Vince
got a
Velasquez
backlog
pitching?
of. I've got a backlog of books that I got to read. Shane sent me over the Wasp Factory not too long ago, so that's next on my list. I'll probably knock that out in a day or two. I'm gonna be listening to all of our old podcasts, obviously, going through all of that stuff.
Shameless
Small plug
plug.
for everything else we do. And then I'm gonna get back into writing a little bit. I'm trying to be constructive here. I do enjoy writing, and I do it more for myself. That's why you don't see me put out a ton of content or anything. But I've taken a small break from it, so I'm going to use this isolation time to start writing some stuff up again. If you see like a crazy moniker come up that no one knows who it is, but guy turns out to be famous, maybe it's me. Who knows?
It's 100% you.
What do you
Or Biscuits, because Biscuits writes too.
What do you like to write? Like, what's your like favorite genre or topic? I guess.
Usually what I do, I try to keep a pretty active journal. Or if I'm going through something life-wise, like I'll always write that out because I tend to be better on paper than I am with vocalizing things. Plus, I'm very private. So if I have like a rough breakup or a rough time in my life or something going on, I always go right to the computer. Another thing I like to do is I'm a big drinker. So if I go out one night and get blackout drunk, I will hit the computer and write some stuff and then wake up and see what happened. And it's usually garbage, but it's always a fun activity.
That's how the greatest do it.
Yeah.
Okay, Hank Moody.
I was just going to make the comment. Thank you, Rob. Californication, for everyone who hasn't watched it, you should totally do so.
Just give me a black Porsche.
Yeah.
That's it, and then I'll smash the headlight for you. Actually, that's not going to happen. I'm pretty sure that would be as a result of you smashing Stephanie. That's why that headlight was, well, you know what? Let's live dangerous. Let's see what happens. Who knows? There's no sports. I don't know what's happening these days.
Hey, you do live out in California, so you've already got that going for you.
It's
Yeah.
true. And he has great hair.
Does have phenomenal hair.
You have great hair, asshole. That's what I was
Well, thank you.
saying.
Maybe I'm just gonna start watching Californication and stop writing. Fuck it.
That is a good show.
It is a
forgot.
great show.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
man.
Yeah.
Such
I
a
always-
shame they pulled it from Netflix, though.
I know. I know.
It's on Hulu. Just fucking
Is it?
relax. It's Hulu or Amazon Prime. It's one of the two. That's all. Everyone's just going to pass the whore of these TV shows around to different stream services. They leave one, they're showing up on another.
Fair enough.
Except for Friends. Friends is not out until that.
Well, that's because
expensive
Friends is
ass
dog shit.
HBO.
And
Friends
you
is.
should
I'm not-
just
Thank you,
watch-
Shane.
You should
I'm
just
not
watch
saying I
Seinfeld.
like Friends. I'm just saying that it's not on anything.
All right, Shane, I'm gonna make you tell an embarrassing story for that garbage take right there.
That's not a bad take at all. You haven't even watched Friends.
Yeah, I have.
Did we not just go through this on the last podcast?
I never said that I didn't watch Friends, though.
I'm pretty sure that was like verbatim what you said, that you have not, or was it Seinfeld that you've never seen an
It was
episode?
Seinfeld that I have never
Wait, you
watched.
Well, then
never
we
watched
each have to
Seinfeld?
share one then. If you haven't watched Seinfeld, I think that's a bullshit. That's we're each now. All right, that's it.
Like
We're
that's not even
in the
a
safe
fault, like-
space. We each have to supply a
man.
story. This is no
God.
good. The fact that you haven't watched Seinfeld. So this is up to you, man. You're the one who called me out first. Do we each share a story, or do neither of us? What's your plan?
How about we each share a story? I
We
think that'll
each
be
share
more
a
fun.
story.
Yeah.
All right. I'm for it.
But first, we still need to hear Borek's embarrassing story, I believe.
Well, we'll get to Borek. You've just called us out. This is if you call someone out that's on the spot, you got to do it.
All right, so I'm going first here.
Well, I mean, you called me out first, but sure, if you got one ready.
Yeah,
Go
I
for
got one.
All right, man, go.
All right. So the other week, I said on previous shows I deliver for Amazon in the civilian life, and the other week I was actually making deliveries in the Boyertown area.
Great
And-
baseball town.
Yeah, but otherwise kind of a strange area.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've definitely seen like green goo running down the sides of the streets there a few times. But yeah. Anyway, so I was delivering in Boyertown, and I just made a delivery, and I had my van parked along the side of the street, right? And so as I'm walking back to the van, I was I don't know what happened. I was like a little bit spaced out for the moment. There's this lady who was, I guess, standing outside her house, and I went back to what I thought was the van, and I went to open the door and realized that it was locked. So I look up, and it's not the van. It's her Jeep Wrangler. And she's standing there on the front porch, like, looking at me like, are you trying to break into my car? Are you seriously trying to do that? I was like, oh my God, I am so sorry. I just completely spaced out. I thought it was my van. And then I just got in the van and I drove off.
Oh my God, that's actually awesome. I feel like every story that you ever share of yourself, it's something related to driving. But this one was, I think, hands down your best. So nice job. All right,
Yeah,
so I got it.
It was a strange interaction there.
Of course, it was a strange interaction. You had to break into a stranger's car. All right, so I'll supply mine, and then we'll give you a little bit more, stuff to do or waste your time with over the next month or so. So I, as a 29-year-old man, had to get my wisdom teeth taken out. One of them started to shift, so that was a hell of an experience. Most people get that done when you're like a ute. I did not. So I specifically told Stephanie, who was going to be my ride home, that she could not videotape me. And mercifully, and bless her soul, she has not. So you will be the first people to hear some of the things that occurred. First of all, when I got this out, it was the week leading into the Harper signing. And I had spoken right before I went under, I was like, hey, when I come to and you guys bring me out of this, if Harper signed, you got to tell me first, like before anything. Like, it doesn't matter if like you fucked up my jaw and I'm going to be in like a shit ton of pain. Like, just leave that part out. Tell me about the Harper thing. So I did. I literally woke up and I was just like, did Bryce Harper sign yet? It was the first thing I said. But this is not the embarrassing thing. This is just by professing my love towards, one of the greatest sets of hair in baseball. But the embarrassing thing happened was, so little bit on Shane here, and I don't know if any of you guys have seen this movie, The Fisher King. Have any of you seen it?
I have not.
Okay, well, you're all fucking dead to me. It's a brilliant movie. It literally is something for everyone. So I have this thing, and not unlike Berardi, every movie that I love, my lady does not, or it takes a bit to get her to actually try it or accept it as brilliant. And The Fisher King, like I said, to me, it's like, it's one of the closest films you can get to perfection. So I had asked her, apparently in my stupor, this is a story from her, I don't recall this happening. But in our drive home, where I called her Jeep a spaceship, I had asked her, do you like The Fisher King? I think we should watch The Fisher King when we get home. And she said, I'm not watching that fucking movie. I hate that fucking movie. And I proceeded to cry as a 29-year-old man and said, what happens? Do we break up now? I don't think I can date someone who doesn't like The Fisher King. So
that's rich.
We're still together, and she still hasn't watched The Fisher King. So I don't really know what happened out of all of this, but this is just what her recount of that afternoon, because again, I don't quite remember it. But Rob,
my God.
If you're going to call me out for a shitty take, or what you believe to be a shitty take, I'm going to provide you with some quality embarrassment. And I have no shame about it either.
There you go. Well, the key to embarrassment is no shame. So there you go.
It is very true. It is very true. And we do still have one more person who will go in a little while. We have Borek's embarrassing story yet to be heard for him saying bet, jackass. Don't use that terminology.
We're giving him time to let it percolate.
I
thought I said bet.
You both said bet.
Oh.
Yeah,
and you
first
both
of all,
got shit
Berardi,
before.
you've crossed like 14 lines tonight, but we're easing it in right now. I'm going to stack these up with tallies, and every time there's a dead moment on our shows from now to the end of time, you're just going to have to slip in another fucking story. That's a rough one with you.
I'm surprised, by the way. I'm surprised you let the word John go when I sent that in the group text.
What in the fuck did you say that?
It was in the group text.
I said John?
Sorry,
I
that's
said
it,
John.
kid. Stay
I
another
said John.
one. That's upsetting. All right. Well, you know what? No, because I don't know how long it's going to take you to think, and we're already at 48 minutes. Who knows how long? Not that these people have anything going on in their existence anymore.
Yeah, exactly. They can
They
listen
should
to
be
a
listening to
5-hour
this shit.
I think we've got to, for the sake of the show, we got to limit it to one embarrassing story per person.
I don't think there's any limitation, because otherwise people are just going to say some shit, half their story, and then just say a bunch of shit. Like, I'm going to have to listen to Berardi say all those types of things for the duration of this show, knowing full well there's no punishment. Nah, that doesn't happen. We're trying to establish better humans here. Use full sentences, real words. It's a real thing. Also, Borek used improper English right from the jump, and that made me cringe. But that's fine. We're moving through it. I'm getting better. All right. So did anyone not go besides me on different types of things that they're going to do? I feel like we heard from everyone but me, right?
Well, you guys heard from me last night, so I don't think I need
So
to
it was me and Rob. So one thing I did not mention last night, or if I did, I can't fucking remember it at this point. So I'm big on cooking. And Rob, did I talk about this last night or not?
I don't remember. I don't think you did.
I can't remember.
You might. I think you touched on it briefly.
All right. Well, then I'll only touch on it briefly again, just in case. And I won't go too in depth. But I'm big on cooking. And you know what? It's all coming back to me now. I made the Julie and Julia comment from a movie standpoint, and I connected it to this. Nailed it. You guys have already heard this. Sorry. I'm going to cook a lot of food, and I'm going to start posting some pictures of it for you guys, because there's nothing better than food porn, except for real porn. Danny Daniels. Check her out. She's a babe. All right, so let's jump back into the baseball stuff now that we just crossed the line partially for some of our listeners.
Hashtag buy sock and Pornhub.
So yeah, that was so funny. That was such a brilliant tweet. I am genuinely concerned about those who listen to us with children in the car. Like,
yeah, it's probably not a smart idea.
I think it's a great idea, but like, I just feel like we're breeding little assholes. Like, people are going to listen to this and be like, I want to be just like Biscuit. I'm going to not respond to females who profess their love.
Oh man,
ridiculous. All right, so let's jump into Rob's other. So Rob supplied us with both of our baseball topics, and this is a good one. This is one that I love getting into pretty much anytime anyone asks me. We're going to go through some of our favorite Phillies memories. I'm going to kind of expand this one to ones that we may not have witnessed that happened kind of before our time as well. So if there are different highlights that come up that that bring out some chills or anything like that, you can certainly include those as well. But I'm going to start with Rob because it was his idea, just to go through some of your favorite baseball memories, and we'll keep it Phillies for the most part. If you have one that's not Phillies related, feel free to share it. But we'll start with Rob. Go ahead, man.
All right, so I want to start off. I know I sent this in a group text, but there's a person on YouTube. I forget their username, but they have a series of like 7 or 8 videos that are titled Obscure Phillies Highlights, and they're like about 10 minutes each, and I've watched every single one of them during this down period without sports. It's kind of helped to dust off some of the cobwebs and some of the great memories of being a Phillies fan, especially during those division title years from 2007 through 2011. And they have some highlights from before that and some highlights from after that as well. But some of my favorite Phillies highlights, I think they pretty much all come from that time period. I think winning the World Series is an obvious one, so I'm gonna move past that. Aside from that, my favorite highlight from that era is Jimmy Rollins with a walk-off double against the Dodgers in the 2009 NLCS. It was Game 4. It was the second year in a row that they haunted Jonathan Broxton in Game 4 of the NLCS. Of course, the year before was Matt Stairs taking them deep, hitting a home run that still has not landed. I don't know. It's probably circling somewhere over like Western Europe or something like that right now. But yeah, one of my favorite memories, that Jimmy Rollins walk-off double. And if you haven't heard the radio call, Scott Fransky and Larry Anderson, definitely give that a listen. It's one of the best sports announcing calls that I've ever heard in my life. And yeah, it's outside of winning the World Series, I would say that that's my favorite Phillies moment.
I dig that. I think my favorite Phillies moment from that kind of era and time frame is actually a really simple one, or one that probably doesn't get as much recognition. But Victorino throwing out at home plate to preserve Lidge's then still perfect season.
That was against Atlanta, right?
Yeah. What a fucking cannon that was. And that was a guy who had been going through some shoulder problems for much of the year and a half leading into that. But just uncorked a fucking missile to home plate. It was brilliant. I could watch that on replay over and over again.
He's another guy he's had a number of huge moments. One of the highlights I saw today was, I think in like 2009, they were playing against Florida and they were down 4-2 in the top of the ninth and 2 outs, and he hits a grand slam to give him the lead.
Yeah.
What about the home run off of Sabathia? That was Victorino.
Rob and I talked about that yesterday too. Yeah, that was brilliant. That's still, like, even just hearing it, like, every single time, chills. Scott, so you and I, obviously, our baseball roots and stuff go back pretty far. But what's one of yours?
I mean, at this point, I feel a default. I have to mention that I was at the game when the Phillies won in 2008, when they won the World Series. So, I mean, that's my all-time favorite sports memory. But I'll share, like, another non-cliche one. I don't think we talk enough about, was it 2007 or 2006 when the Mets were up, like, 5 games with, like, 5 games left or something.
I have the game you're talking
games
about.
with 17.
Yep.
Yeah. That was one of the most unbelievable comeback stories of all of baseball. I mean, of all sports in Philadelphia. But we put that all together. And there was that game when Jason Worth stole second and stole third. And, Citizens Bank Park was rocking. And, I think that really rallied the entire city back behind the Phils. To me, that was one of my favorite just times to be a Phillies fan. And, like, it was so much fun to talk to everyone about them. We were all in on it. There was no negative vibes at all. Like, it was just a rare moment in time that we were perfect, and, we knew this was going to happen. Nothing was going to ruin it, and it was our time. And then we lost to the Rockies in the first round. But
that was the Chase Utley walk-off game.
Yeah, so it was 8/30/07. I literally bought that game on like an iPod in like 2009, just so I had something to rewatch on bus trips for baseball games. It was brilliant. So yeah,
come in handy if you still have it.
I do still have it. Yeah, well, first of all, so I've already watched Halliday's no-hitter and perfect game. I've already rewatched the Terrence Howard narrated 2008 World Series DVD, and then I've already watched the first. So there's like 9 discs in for each of the games of that playoff series. So I think it was like the clinching game. I've watched 3 games already. So
wait a minute, did you say Terrence Howard narrated?
Yeah. Isn't that who it was?
Wasn't it Ryan Howard?
No.
What?
No, Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard of Hustle and Flow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I thought
First
you meant
of all,
the Phillies.
I love you so much right now, Scott. You are as Caucasian as I am, and because you pulled that out, I know that we're the only 2 white people who know what that movie is. But it's oh my God, it's so fucking good. It is so fucking. Yeah. But yeah, Terrence Howard narrated that. You're just thinking of Jimmy Rollins and him in the beginning doing the 7th inning stretch, the remix.
That's probably what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
yeah.
I think our man Joe Borek with the voice of an angel might need to sing "It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp" on the next episode.
We need to
get the vocals going for him.
We absolutely need to hear that.
I don't know how well that one will go.
Really? It's really easy, man. Go ahead. Just go mute your mic, go listen to it once, come back on, and give us a little bit. That's all we're asking for here. So all right, you know what? Mute your mic, Borek. Biscuits, we're going to go to you. One of your Phillies' favorite memories.
I talked a lot on the last podcast about how I was at the NLCS clinching game when they won the pennant in 2009. So I don't want to go with that. I vividly remember like it was yesterday watching Cole Hamels' last game as a Philly, the beautiful no-hitter. And this is why I think baseball is so special, and there's these moments that happen that just make it such a unique game, so powerful. His last start as a Philly, the guy tosses a no-hitter. What's more poetic than that? I remember I had friends. One friend I remember vividly giving me a hard time about not going out with him that day. And I was like, I want to watch this game. Like it was going to be his last start. Everyone kind of knew it. I was like, I feel like it's going to be something special. And every, inning, every pitch, I was just on the edge of my seat the entire time. Had a little drama right at the end with that wacky Odubel Herrera catch. So that was one of the games I thought about. And then I also thought about just no big standout games, but there was these 2 games that I went to, both in 2017 and 2018, and they actually took place nearly literally a day less than a year apart. One was on 4/8, the other one was on 4/7, and it was just 2 Philly blowouts. The one in 2017 was against the Nationals. The final was 17-3. Howie Kendrick hit a bases clearing triple, I believe, and then the other one was in 2018, literally a day from a year later. It was against Miami. It was Miami because Vince Velasquez, he gave up a run in the first inning, and I was like, oh, here we go, another season of Vince Velasquez being Vince Velasquez, and he actually ended up pitching a pretty good game. I think Maikel Franco hit a couple home runs. It was one of
hit a grand slam.
Yes.
Shut the hell up. I hate that guy.
But those are just the games, no standout games. Obviously, they weren't big years, but they were fun to be at, and it was a fun way to kick off the season with a big win. So those 3 games are the ones that really stood out to me.
Yeah, I think those are some pretty quality memories. All right, Borek, what do you got for us here, kid? Can you concentrate?
Here for a bit when he's trying to get his money for the rent. That's all I got.
Which one's singing right now?
That's all.
Jesus Christ, you sounded like Biscuits for a second. Suddenly your voice was not low. What
are you trying to say, Shane?
First of all, that was Taraja P. Henson singing, and your voice mirrored hers so brilliantly, Joe Borek. I honestly, you
sign this man to a record deal.
Get this guy on American Idol right now.
Get him to American Idol.
I would choir in grade school.
You used to do what?
I used to do choir back in the day. It's been a while.
Good Lord, that must have been a show.
Were you touched inappropriately?
No,
oh my God!
I mostly did it for the field trips.
You got to
go to Free for Dorney and like Six Flags and.
Nice.
Gotcha. All right, man.
He's doing it for the pussy.
Wait. God. See, this is where little kids who are listening to this are going to become assholes. They're going to join choir and they're going to be you.
I did it for the pussy.
Oh, that's so fucked.
Field trips and pussy. What's better than that?
Oh, my God. Field trips and foot. Look, that's a tweet. Honestly.
I did choir for the field trips and the pussy.
That's like
the
Mets
title
1
cent
tweet. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Title of the pod, Field Trips and Pussy.
All right, well, while you're not over there violating females, Joe Borek, for field trip purposes, what are some of your favorite Philadelphia Phillies memories?
Well, one of them, of course, is in the postseason when I didn't know what the hell Chase Utley was doing at first. He's one of my favorite players when he pump faked, and I think if I remember correctly, he threw out Jason Bartlett maybe at home plate.
That is correct.
Yep.
When he pump faked and threw him out at home plate, where that was one of the most memorable plays I have of my lifetime. Of a highlight, I know for a fact from just watching with my grandfather when I was younger, a lot when my grandmother and grandfather used to babysit me, HK's number 500 from Michael Jack Schmidt. That John is in my head for a long time.
Jesus Christ, you hit me with a John.
But that thing.
Also, that was a dog shit impression of Harry K.
Yeah,
Just
you're right.
throwing that out there.
Yeah, I usually do that pretty well, but I'm too fucked up to do that right now. But we'll get that on the next one.
All right, I'm holding you to it because you got to redeem yourself on that one.
Stick to Terrence Howard songs.
But the other one, of course, is one of the ones I have is the triple play. Of course, if we're talking about the City Stadium, City Field, Eric Bruntlett made that triple play in City Field that no one's mentioned yet, and that was one of my most memorable plays from a very not memorable player, obviously, just like a random ass player that ended up being on the Phillies in our lifetime.
Not memorable. Shane was showing them some love last night.
Yeah, man. I said he was my favorite shortstop of my lifetime for the Phillies.
I do. Eric Bruntlett, honestly, he did fill in well for us when we had injuries. Like he was.
I just hated Jimmy Rollins. All right, let's see. What kind of obscure? I have a memory that really pisses me off. As me and Scott have just professed, we each liked Rico Brogna for no fucking reason because he's not a good baseball player.
This is a cool sounding name.
Rico Brogna, yeah.
Yeah, and he always had that big dip full of red man too. That always looked really cool. Yeah.
Right? He was just such a weird dude. But I remember, him going to Boston and us not. He did like next to nothing as a first baseman for us. Like there was just no point, no power, no nothing. And in his first at bat as a fucking Red Sox, he hits a grand slam. And I was like, that makes perfect fucking sense from a Philadelphia Phillies standpoint. I was like 12 when I said that. So obviously even then I knew my shit. That pissed me off to no end for one of my memories. Let me see. One of my favorite memories, and this also kind of pisses me off, but I still enjoy it for what it was. Does anyone here know who Tyler Houston is?
Yes.
I know you do, Rob, because I've talked about him 10 times to you. Well, I guess you probably knew him other than that, but no one else, I assume, knows who Tyler Houston was, right?
Nope.
Okay.
I have never heard of him before.
Yeah, that's accurate. He had like a 9-year MLB career. I think he played for like 7 different teams or something. He was basically an Eric Bruntlett. He was a utility infielder. And I think it was either his last season in the majors or second last season in the majors where he was a Philly. And it was the first and only game outside of a Boston Red Sox game on a family vacation that my sister had come with me and my dad. So it was me, my dad, and my sister. And we're at I'm pretty positive at this point it was still Veterans Stadium. And we're playing the Mets, and it was going to extra innings, and my sister got sunburned, and she was young, and she hated every single thing about being there. My dad finally caved. First time in our life that we ever left a game early. And we sat still in standstill fucking traffic on 95, which if you've left the stadiums and are sitting on 95, you are still sitting on 95. That road has had construction since before I was fucking born. And it's forever going to be that way. But there we are, still stadium in sight, listening as Tyler Houston, my favorite Philly of that time, because I always like the guys who have no business being on a team, hits a walk-off. I'm pretty sure it was a walk-off double, if I remember it correctly. And I just remember turning around in the front seat and turning around in the back seat to my sister being like, "You're an asshole," at 11 years old. And my dad being like, "You kind of are." But yeah, Tyler Houston memories. Love him. Gotta love it. I also loved Shane Victorino before he was like an everyday player. Every single time he got in the lineup, he produced every single time. I was like, why the fuck is he not getting more playing time? Just put him in. And then it happened, and I'd like to take full credit for that. I wrote angry letters that I turned in school. Yeah, I was that guy. But Phillies memories are always pretty fucking fantastic. But moving away from, did anyone not give a Phillies memory, by the way? It's 5
I
of us.
gave one, but I've got one that's kind of similar to yours, and I only remembered it because you brought up Victorino. I think it was 2007. They were playing against the Giants. It was Victorino figurine day. They had a rain delay, I think, around like the 6th or 7th inning. And at that point, my dad and I had shared season tickets. And, I was young. I didn't have my driver's license yet. My dad drove down. So he had the ultimate decision. He was like, okay, we're not going to wait this thing out. We're going to leave. The Phillies were down, I think, like 8-3 at that point or something like that. Sure enough, we leave. They resume the game. They come back and tie it on a home run by Ryan Howard. And then 2 innings later, I think it was like the 10th inning, Victorino hits a walk-off home run.
Yep.
Listening to it on the radio as we were driving back home.
So I lied. I did leave one other game in my life early. And it was for a very similar circumstance and a very similar ending. Do you guys remember I think it was 2013 or 14, we were down like, I don't know, 9-1 or 11-1 to the Brewers. In the first inning, they went off for like 7 runs. We had tickets.
I feel like I'm sorry to cut you off. I definitely vividly remember this game.
Right. And I was behind home plate. It was the best tickets I'd ever bought for me and my dad. And it got to like the 6th inning, and it was a miserable fucking night. The offense had nothing. Pitching was atrocious. It was brutal. And we sat there and we're like, you know what? Let's just fucking go. And it ended up going to the 13th inning. And it actually, as we were driving past the neighborhood that I actually now live in, is when we ended up walking that game off in the 13th or 14th inning, whatever it may have been. And we came back from like 8 or 9 runs down late into the game. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And now I can't leave any game early. It's just impossible. Like, we could be down 45-0 in a Phillies game. And I'm like,
oh, man.
You never know. All right. So, Joe, we have waited long enough. We are an hour and 10 minutes in. We hope that you have a embarrassing story for us here for saying a multitude of different things at this point. He hit us with a John and a bet. And both of those make me want to punch you in the throat. So, Borek, why don't you hit us with an embarrassing story, sir?
Okay, well, what I will point out on the positive in the times of not being with sports right now is apparently the Phillies signed a top international prospect, Yaswar Garcia.
Is his name Miguel Gonzalez? Miguel Alfredo Gonzalez?
It's a 17-year-old outfielder who's apparently a really good top prospect.
Okay. All right.
We've seen so many of them work before.
Hey, you know,
man.
I actually
Who did we take instead of Juan Soto again?
I still have faith in Jalen Ortiz. I still think he can be a decent player at some point.
Yeah, that's who I was talking about. That's a future AL, like, 1 year. That's a what's his name? Carter, the first baseman that we sent over in the Oswalt deal. He had 1 year. Ship his ass over to Asia, wherever. Well, who knows? I don't know where the hell he went. But, yeah. Great international signing. We'll see how that plays.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good move, though. They said it's a top prospect, so when's the last time you remember before Miguel Alfredo Gonzalez, the Phillies signed a top freaking prospect from international pools? They're always scared as shit to sign from those people. So
well, we've just been collecting money forever to do this. We just keep taking $250,000 in trades in international slot money. But stop the land. What's your embarrassing story? Was it singing 5 minutes ago?
It's got to be up there.
It has to be up there.
One of them I hinted at, but I'll refrain away from that type of stuff on the podcast. But another one was when we went out at school. I'll refrain from saying what university I went to. But when we went out, when I went to the university, when we first went to school, we probably went out for, I want to say, the first 8 to 10 weeks when we got there in freshman year. And the one night we were like, everybody, all of a sudden it was like 2 a.m. and everybody was like, fuck, I am starving. And we had this one Asian restaurant that was good as shit when you were, it wasn't good as shit otherwise, but it was good as shit when you were hammered.
Good as shit's a weird statement. I'm just going to throw that out there. 2 girls and 1 cuppy. Not fun. Keep going.
But anyway, everybody got all divided when we were going. And my one friend, Alec, is obsessed with old school video games. He's obsessed with Sonic. So we're running up the fucking street. And I don't know how I'm running because I was like beyond gone at this point. Like, I shouldn't have been able to physically run up the street. But I was like sprinting up the street to get fucking Chinese food. And so was my friend, and nobody else was running behind us. They were all 500 miles behind us. And he's like, Sonic 06, you fucking bitch-ass motherfucker, as he yells back to them. And he also accidentally said some racist shit mixed in there, and we're in a freaking like good-ass neighborhood. So we get up to the freaking Happy Fortune ass place that's an Asian place, and everyone.
We need to work on your curse word placement. Keep going.
Everyone's just staring at us, and we're like, yeah, I'm just gonna go in like I don't know you since you just acted like a retard as we were running up here. So I just walked in, I got food, I literally walked back, but the worst part was we got back to our dorm. I started eating, and then I just passed out because my friend and I, we started taking shots, and he's like, yo, I bet you I can outdrink you. And I started trying to outdrink him, and I was already gone. So I drank like 2 shots and literally fell asleep on my friend's rug. My roommate tried to wake me up, and I like Saints Row 2 pimp slapped him across the face, and I didn't know that shit until the next morning. and he was pissed. I did not know that shit until the next morning.
Well, Borek's story is every college freshman story in existence.
With a little bit of racism thrown in
With
there.
a little bit of
Did not see that
bit of
coming.
racism.
Oh man.
Well, we've learned some things about Borek tonight.
Oh, wait. We learned some things about my friend's an asshole. I never said I said anything racist in that.
No.
Yeah, but you told the story. This is your existence. This is who you associate with. This was your chosen embarrassing story, which I fail to see the embarrassment throughout the story, more so just dumbassery, but that's fine. Story's a story. You gave us one. Next time, we may or may not make one up for you. We'll see how this plays out. I guarantee that the two Joes will probably say some dumb shit again.
Man.
Listen, it's good. It's good for the pod. You guys are going to have a following. Basically.
Hey, I got embarrassing stories. I don't mind sharing.
Yeah, me too, man. Go ahead.
I have
one on
lot,
the tip of my tongue right now, too.
Scott, you have one?
Yeah, it's actually Philly sports related, too. I can share it real quick. I mean, just pretend I said John or Bet or something like that.
There you go. You said them in one sentence. Go ahead.
There you go. So when I moved out to California, I moved out here to work for my brother's brother-in-law, so on the other side of the marriage, and he's a very well-to-do guy. He always treats my oldest nephew, Colin, to various Philadelphia sports games, but he doesn't just buy him any ticket. He buys him courtside seats to the Sixers. He buys him seats right behind the dugout for the Phils. So anytime I try to treat my nephew, he doesn't understand why we're sitting so far away. So I took him to, I think it was his second Phillies game ever. And mind you, he was like 4 or 5 at the time. And we're walking in and he thinks we're going to sit near the dugout. And he's like, why are we going so far? And I was like, shut up. I'm poor. I can't afford more than this. Like, we're all going to sit in the outfield. And he goes, it's fine. We'll probably just catch a home run. And I was like, Colin, we're not going to catch a home run. That never happens. Almost never happens. It's real rare. Sure enough, literally the first hitter of the Phils, I can't even remember who it was, drops a bomb. It lands literally a seat over from us and bounces, and some asshole behind us catches it. And Colin just looks at me and goes, oh, well, that just happens all the time then, right? So then I had to sit there and explain to my nephew that not only am I poor and I can't afford seats behind the dugout, not only does this not happen, but I'm also just not a liar. And he thinks I'm all of those now. So I am the far less cool uncle. My brother likes to give me shit for it every once in a while and send me pictures of his courtside seats, but I'll be living with that for the rest of my life.
That's brilliant. I love that. Just full disclosure, I'm going to take your nephew to a game and get courtside seats, or not courtside seats because the Sixers are, obscenely expensive. But yeah, I'll one up you. We'll send a picture.
Okay, sounds good.
And then we'll catch a foul ball or something ridiculous too.
You'll catch a foul ball at the Sixers game. Yeah.
I just changed it and said at the god damn. Whatever. Oh my god. All right. So we're at an hour and 17 minutes. So I'm gonna say let's go around real quick and say your perfect non-sports day over the next 30 days. You can be as specific as you want. You can be as definitely inappropriate as you please. How is it that you would prefer to spend your time? And I will start with Borek, because I feel like this is going to be an absolute shit show of a response.
Is he even alive?
Yeah. My day,
He's still learning the song.
My day's pretty simple. I mean, without sports, it's just I still have online classes because I'm in night school, accelerated school, so I got to pay attention to that stuff starting.
That's such a perfect day. I don't want to hear about your classes unless it's a perfect day to you.
I have to, and then I really just go hang out with people. If anyone still wants to play basketball, if the weather's nice, I'll do that shit. And then I just watch the TV shows I mentioned, plus other shit I'm not really into, but I could start watching other TV shows at some point when sports don't come back. I mean, my day's kind of pretty bland and boring because I like paying attention to a lot of the different sports leagues, but I watch a lot of different TV shows, so that's all I do right now.
Thank you for not providing us with your perfect day. That was a lot. That was a whole hell of a lot of talking about, like, your existence. Do you sit at home and just, again, rock back and forth and just go through an actual withdrawal process of the no sports right now? Well, he died.
A decent spots of that. Yeah, there's a decent period of that. I mean, I watch a lot of TV though, so I mean, like I said, I'm in a better position than a lot of people I know that really are just invested in sports and betting on sports. So at least I like 10 different TV shows, so that helped.
Well,
and
it was 3 when you started, and you weren't a big TV
American
buff.
Idol and The Voice.
Things we've learned.
I got back into American Idol and The Voice just because why not?
Katy Perry's a babe, and because we know
Katy Perry. Hey, the one band I used to fuck with too, Yellow Card.
Fuck with. Why does this keep happening?
Yellow Card helped to get Katy Perry famous when she went up on stage with them. Look it up.
I'm gonna not do that, but
Borek, I feel like you're gonna become a fan favorite amongst the 13 listeners that we have for the show.
Hey, all right, so no bullshit. I did find, because I jokingly say some of this shit because I don't look at our statistics until I feel like comfortable with the kind of show that we're putting out. I just feel like it's bad luck, and I finally I looked at our numbers and they're way better than I anticipated them being. So we do have significantly more than 13 listeners a show, and I'm for it, man. So thank you guys. We appreciate you listening and sharing this stuff. And if you have kids, we're sorry, kind of. Or if you just have sensitive ears, like, that's fine too. If you're just super prude, that's, probably shouldn't listen to us, but we respect it regardless. So Borek, your day is really, really unentertaining. We're going to go to
TV. Yeah, pretty boring. Yeah.
Oh, a lot of TV. All the 3 TV shows that turn into 10.
I mean, I watch other TV shows, but I don't. Why would I listen? They're not all that interesting.
It doesn't matter. We're trying to help folk out right now. Biscuits, you have a significant other, so I assume that you're spending a lot of time with her. So why don't you let us know what your perfect day is going to be now that sports are not a part of it right now?
So if I could wake up tomorrow and have the perfect dream day, here's how it would begin.
I knew this was going to be theatrically brilliant. Keep going.
So as you mentioned, I do spend a lot of time with my significant other. I'm someone I love my girlfriend, as you know, as I'm sure if you have significant others, you all do the same. I fucking hope so. But I could literally we don't spend a lot of time apart. We are truly each other's best friends. Even though we butt heads about films, she, just as much as I do, loves baseball. We were heartbroken, obviously, that the season got suspended because we had so many tickets lined up throughout April and May that, we're really unhappy that we can't make it, but we're totally understanding of everything. But, just wake up, spend some time with her, maybe watch a couple episodes of Bob's Burgers. I don't know if any of you guys are fans of that show. I love Bob's Burger.
Oh, great show. I also watch that, Shane.
Maybe watch an episode of Star Wars, play some show, and then she's goes to bed pretty early. So when she goes to bed, I wouldn't mind being able to hop on with you fine gentlemen and doing a podcast, because this is always a great fun way to end a night for me. So I'm very fortunate for this opportunity as well. So that's what my day would kind of look like if I could draw up a perfect day, which was kind of like how today was. So today was a good day.
Oh, so every day is the best day, Joey Biscuit's life. Nice. That was fucking adorable and not what I expected.
Joey Optimist.
He's like the Francisco Lindor of our podcast. Always.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, that's kind of where it's at. All right, Scott, go ahead, man. Your perfect day in a non-sports world.
I think I wake up nice and early, maybe get out on the golf course. I haven't played in a long time.
Yes.
But it's a great thing to do when you're trying to pass time and you don't have a distraction of the phone. Great excuse to drink in the morning. So start out there. Me and the boys hit a quality 18. We're done before noon. Grab a big lunch. So you come home, you take a little nap, and then I'm heading out down to the beach. Laying out on the beach for a while, trying not to get sunburned with my very fair Irish skin.
Those of you who don't know Scott, don't know where he lives, going to the beach is literally his backyard. Just wanted to make everyone hate Scott for just a minute.
Yeah, I had a bit going for a while where I would just talk about how awesome the beach was and how nice weather was in California. But I started to hate myself, so I had to stop doing that. So I'm sitting on the beach for a little bit, hanging out, maybe going to dinner or a comedy show at night because I'm a big live comedy guy.
Same.
I don't know if I'd be able to do that because of current times and they're kind of limiting, public gatherings and all that. But at that point, then I'd be pretty exhausted and need to come home and, catch some sleep. And, I'm turning into an old man, so I've been tending to go to bed a little earlier. So I'd probably be home, tucked in bed at 11:30, and then ready to wake up and do it all over again the next day.
Well, look at you staying up pissed. Actually, that's right. It's only 8:45 out there now.
Yeah.
Got yourself.
It's super fucking early.
Not only that, it's before 9 on a Saturday. It's not like it's a fuck it. It is Saturday, right? My days are all fucked.
Yeah.
I think it's
doesn't
Saturday.
matter.
Yeah,
no days matter when
days all run
there's no
together now.
sports. It doesn't matter. All right, Rob, your perfect day in a non-sports world.
Well, perfect day. Obviously, being off of work, sleeping in until about noon, maybe waking up, shit, shower, shave, get myself a coffee. Maybe I'm gonna cook up some like an omelet or something like that. And then I think since I wouldn't be working, I would probably and since we're dealing with this and people are supposedly going to be quarantined, that means there wouldn't be many people out on the road. I'd hop in my car, turn the windows down. It'd be a nice day out, crank up the country music, just drive around endlessly, kind of exploring some back roads, stuff like that. So get bored of that, come back home. I don't know, find something good on Netflix to watch and call it a night.
We live in Bucks County, by the way. There are no fucking back roads that are.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Dude, have you ever been north of Doylestown?
Yes. There's. Are you talking? Honestly, there's not a whole hell of a lot out there.
Yeah, there is. If you got to go north of Doylestown, there's
All right,
plenty. Like if
I
you go
used
up
to
in
drive,
like the Frecassee area, or if you go out in like the Plumsteadville, like Buckingham-ish area, there's plenty of back roads around there.
I used to, when I went to Lehigh and when I would drive back and forth between my mom's house and in Holland and Bethlehem, I would take the back roads up 563, and it is kind of a good time driving along. You just got to be careful you don't hit a deer if it's dark, but it is a good time.
I have a story about that.
Do tell.
So I fish up in Nockamixon, kind of towards the way that you guys would be coming home. And I had to have been like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. Couldn't sleep. Texted my buddy Ian, which I don't know if he still listens to this show or not, but if you do, I love you, man. Thanks for always being down to do anything at any time. But it was like 11 o'clock. It's like, dude, I can't. Or 11:30. It's like, I can't sleep. He's like, you want to go fish? And he's like, well, fucking sure, man. I don't have to be at work in the morning, which he definitely did. But so we went out and I wasn't paying attention. It was super, super foggy. And I was kind of like looking for a different exit to get off at like a different point of the lake that I don't typically go to. So I was staring through the fog looking for any kind of a sign. And Ian just calmly was like, there's a turkey about 5 yards in front of your car. And mind you, we're going like, I don't know, 70, because that's efficient right now, as I needed to find something. It's middle of the night. You're driving fast. And I had to swerve off to the side of the road to avoid this gigantic fucking turkey that would have almost ended up in the grill of my truck. And where I veered off into the road was actually, ironically, the place I needed to go. So good luck, good time. Ian's always a good time. So Ian, if you do listen to the show, thanks for being an awesome dude. But Rob, continue, man, on your very wanting to sound country-ish perfect day.
That's pretty much it. I love whenever I have some free time and whenever I don't have anything going on. I love one of my favorite things is just to get in the car and kind of drive around a little bit. And if it's during baseball season, when the Phillies are playing, a lot of times even though I prefer watching the game on TV, sometimes I'll go out and I'll turn on the Phillies game and I'll just drive around a little bit. But since we're talking about this coronavirus period and obviously no baseball being played, then country music would be the choice.
I think that's fair. So mine, I do a lot of shit and I realize I have a lot of interests and I haven't had a perfect day in a long time. So I'd be trying to cram a lot of different things into one kind of a day. So not so dissimilar from Scott. I would also wake up super early, but rather than hitting the golf course, which I do love, I would take advantage of going fishing super early in the morning, take the dog, get him some exercise and wear him out a little bit. So I'd fish for a few hours. I'd get home. I'd throw on, probably a Sinatra record because I'd be making breakfast at that point, brewing coffee, listen to Sinatra. That sounds like the perfect way to ease in being back at home. Breakfast is my favorite thing to cook, so I'd probably make way too much food. And then because I'm a swell partner, I would make breakfast in bed for Stephanie, which is always a positive way if you're a partner. If you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend that sleeps in later than you do and you'd like to surprise them, definitely do that. From there, I'll be honest, man. So I never get to play guitar anymore. So I'd probably pay Stephanie to go get touched by someone else on a massage table, just so I could have the house to myself for a little while, just to play guitar, play a little bit of music.
Such an eloquent way to put it.
Yeah, well, I do what I can. A poet over here, but get her all relaxed. I've fed her. She's got touched a little bit. That's fantastic. Then spend some time dipping into the third nightstand drawer and having a little bit of fun for several hours until we're tired enough that we need a nap. And I think that's the easiest, most smooth way I could put that at that point, that it's not going to offend over too many people. Take a nap. I'd probably wake up a little bit earlier. I am also, like I said, I am very much so into cooking. So I'd probably make us a nice dinner, and I would be selecting the film, and I would be duct taping her mouth so that she can't tell me how much she hates a very good film. And then
there's another sex joke in there somewhere with the duct tape and.
But there is.
I just think it's funny that you think that you would be picking the film.
Of course I'd be picking the film. This is my perfect day, man. There are different things that are occurring that do not happen on an everyday basis in the life of Shane. There's many nights where I don't get to opt into the third nightstand drawer of fun because I'm on here talking with you people. That is the kind of love that I have, the dedication that I have for this podcast, man. You don't know. I'm sitting here itching right now because I'm freaking the fuck out because it's been a bit. But no, I think that would be, probably one of the better days that I could have. And she goes to sleep a little bit earlier, and then I'd probably take some time to sit there and you either dip into some TV shows. I'm watching Better Call Saul right now. If you haven't watched it, it's fucking phenomenal. Or watching another movie that I wouldn't have to worry about her liking or disliking. So that would be the way that I would go. So I highly encourage all of the listeners to put all of this together. Watch the 10 TV shows that Joe Borek watches, even though he told us that he doesn't watch much TV and he only watches 3. Say wonderful things about your partner, like Berardi did, and you'll have far more good days than bad.
Don't fucking ignore their texts.
And yes.
Oh gosh.
I was waiting for at some point in there to be like, and now I'm dating her, but it never came about.
No,
so...
this girl's all something.
Wow, man, that's hurtful. What if she listens to this pod because she's still all insane over you? You don't know.
She shouldn't be insane over me. I was a nasty guy.
You sound like a swell. You sound outside of the way that you treated her, you sound like a swell human.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, Christian Value Award.
Christian Value Award, right? Joey Biscuits, the Christian Value Award winner.
You better put that on your resume.
I feel like you should. Man. I hope it is. But yeah. So from Berardi, we've learned treat your partner well, and you'll have more good days than bad. Move near a body of water and develop a drinking problem, and you'll be happy like Scott. You'll also get quality nappage in there, and then pretend like you're a country boy from Bucks County, and you'll be like Rob. And if you're like me, do some just filthy things in the bedroom and have some fun. That is the best way that you can possibly spend the next 30 days without sports.
It's a hell of a day.
I think it's a quality day, right? Like if you spend more days following this kind of a decision process, I feel like everyone's going to be super happy. Or at least
and this is why none of us will ever be life coaches.
That's not true. I was a life coach to baby Steve, and he has his own podcast now about how dysfunctional he is. I think I did pretty well.
Oh man.
All right, so let's go
That's
to final thoughts. We've hit an hour and a half at this point. I think we knew this one was going to go a little bit longer with 5 of us on here. If you guys have listened to this entire thing, we definitely appreciate it. Some of these bits will be continued. When they say shit that pisses me off, they're going to have to tell an embarrassing story. We're going to talk a lot about things that we do throughout our weeks, and then a lot of just old baseball memories and things like that. But let's go to a final thought real quick. Let's start with Scott. Scott, do you have anything or any plugs that you want to throw in here?
I don't have any plugs I really want to throw in here, but I did want to bring up the fact that we've all been saying we enjoy doing the pod and it's a lot of fun, and I agree. I love talking to you guys, but one of the weird things that I get from this is anytime I'm a little homesick and I miss Philadelphia, I get to hear all of you assholes in your Philly accent, and it's weirdly calming. So thank you guys. You don't even know it, but just by being there and talking, it makes me feel better. So
you do know that
you
the
do
Philly
realize
accent
you have one too, right?
yeah, I know, but I can't just hear myself talk.
Oh, that's awesome.
You do realize that the Philly accent is statistically proven to be the most beautiful and calming accent of all time, right?
I mean, can confirm.
Yeah, oh, yes, he hit us with a letter, Kenny.
Yeah.
Well done. Scott, are you even aware that you hit us with a letter, Kenny? Have you watched Letterkenny?
I have watched Letterkenny.
All right, just making
it's a good
sure.
Show. People should watch that.
People should.
I actually just bought a Letterkenny Irish jersey off Amazon yesterday.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. All right, so Scott, was there anything else in there before I jump to someone else?
No, just thanks for letting me be a part of the show. Thanks for having calming voices, everyone. And Joe Borek, keep singing, dude. You've got a future in this one.
Me and Joe are going to actually write the intro, outro music.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Joe's going to sing it.
That's it. That'll be it. So while we're on Borek, what you got any final thoughts or any plugs you want to throw in here?
Well, I'll say that Andrew and I also do another podcast called True Philadelphian Sportscast, and then obviously for sports we all want them to come back, but otherwise just be with your families more than you are if you're off from work. Just enjoy some downtime. Maybe they said social distancing is fine, but if you go out to the park with your family and you're away from people, you can still do some stuff outside, because they did say in open air it's a little bit better. And if you're so there's some stuff you can still do. Just embrace the time around your family you have more, and enjoy some TV and stuff you don't get to do otherwise when this shit ain't going on. So, and
your show is all, I think it's 4 of your segments that you guys have over there at True Philadelphian Sports, but they're all really well done. For those of you guys who want more of Joe Borek and Andrew, who's not on this show tonight, but he's at AJ_Santangelo on Twitter. But definitely give them a shot, because they're, and Joe, you do a good job marketing it all over Facebook too. Because the one time a day I check Facebook, it's nothing but you plugging yourself into that, which I admire, because it's something that I don't do. But yeah, definitely quality stuff over there. Let's go to Joe. Yeah, you got it, sir. Let's go to Joey Biscuits over there. Final thoughts and any other plugs that you'd like to throw in.
No plugs. My girlfriend's a frequent listener of the show, so obviously, Mary Kate, if you listen to this episode, just know that I love you. You're the best.
That was so corny.
Sorry about I gotta cover
potentially
my tracks, because she's gonna give me a hard time about saying how she hates all the movies that I love and cherish.
That's a smart play right now.
Yeah.
So yeah. You're the best. And as always, we don't know when baseball is gonna resume, but go Phillies. Go Phils.
Oh yeah.
And that's all I can say about that. That's my final thought.
All right, Rob, you have any plugs or ads or anything that you want to throw in?
I just want to throw in another plug. I know you did it in the beginning, but I just want to throw in another plug for the Jackdaws, just because they really do make some great music. I follow them. I subscribe to them on Spotify, and I am going to pay for some of their stuff on Patreon, but some really good music, especially if you're into that Celtic rock kind of stuff like I am. Mickey Flynn is the intro song that we use for this one. It's also the intro song that I use for the Disciples of Ed, a very good song. And you mentioned their albums that they come out with. I've actually listened to the entire album, Troubles. I haven't listened to the entire the other one, On the Lash, but Troubles, a very good album. Definitely give that a listen if you're into Celtic rock, and even if you're not, give it a listen. You might find out that you actually enjoy it. It's pretty good stuff.
Hey, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, so why doesn't everyone just go out and purchase a Jackdaws album and stay home, drink whiskey by yourself, and listen to that?
I think that's a quality life decision.
Yeah, have some Irish car bombs, a little bit Jameson, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There you go. They also have a podcast, so if you ever want to hear a little bit of their live performances, it's pretty much what their pod is. It's their live performances with all the banter in between. So Whiplash, the lead singer over there, is one of the funniest humans that I've known in my entire life. And he is very inappropriate, so he's very much like us, and he is very witty, and also very charming. So he kind of checks all the boxes there, and obviously he's got a good voice, bringing us in here for PTBNL Pod as well as the Disciples of Ed Pod. Thanks for throwing another one their way, Rob. Appreciate it. I'm going to throw another ad out, not for the Jackdaws this one, but for Just Food. It is the food selection that Rob and I use, for any time we have a gathering or anything. If I'm not cooking for everyone, I almost always get at least a tray or something from there as well. And Rob frequents their Del Val Market location for breakfast sandwiches at least once or twice a week. He's a frequent flyer over there, but it's Just Food, 215-794-FOOD, 215-794-3663. Treat yourself, take it home. They cater all sorts of events. They do weddings. If you go to them for a wedding, there is a very strong possibility that I will bartend your wedding. I'm a very good bartender, and I promise I won't sleep with any of your bridesmaids because I have a lady. But I am a fantastically failed wingman, so we'll try. But yeah, Just Food, 215-794-FOOD, 215-794-3663. Treat yourself and take it home. This has been, I think, the longest podcast episode that I've ever recorded at this point, but hopefully it's entertaining enough and you guys stuck through it. You guys aren't driving anywhere anytime soon because no one's going to work. And there's nothing else to do. So hopefully you listen to this in its entirety. You can always tweet at us now. It's at ANYP Phillies. Sean New has kind of taken the reins on that one for us. Sean, thank you. You guys can follow his personal. It's at Sean New 27. And then the guys on this show tonight, you can follow Rob at radio_Rob. You can follow Scott at SP Novick. Biscuits you can get at Brosif Biscuit, and then Borek you can find at JJ Borek 26, and then you guys can always find me. It's at Shane_Mead, and then the Always Next Year Podcast Network. It still kind of throws all of our stuff out there to one source is at ANY Podcast. It's amazing that I remember all of that shit, but I do. So thank you guys. Thanks for coming on. Thanks everyone for listening. I'm sure we'll be back in another couple days because we're not going to fucking have anything else to do. So we'll update you on Joe's singing. We'll update you on the status of Berardi's relationship with his current girlfriend and if his possible stalker is still sending him text messages from different numbers with different names. Scott will tell you how much the beach is still fantastic. Rob will tell you how his country music is going. And I'm just going to host again. We're just going to see how this rolls. So we'll see you guys. And until next time, go Phillies. Keep signing international prospects.
A fighting man I used to be, revered and feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, and so jig over my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son, still happy life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.